Beirut, a city known for its resilience. Now, a city gripped by fear. The reason? Explosions. But not just any explosions. These explosions were different. They were triggered by everyday devices. A pager, a walkie-talkie. Objects once ordinary, now objects of terror. The blasts ripped through the city, leaving behind more than just physical damage. They shattered the fragile sense of normalcy that Beirut had been clinging to. They left a chilling question hanging in the air. If it could happen once, could it happen again? The answer, it seemed, was a resounding yes. It began with a nondescript pager, left on a busy street corner, a seemingly harmless device. But this was no ordinary pager. This pager was a bomb. The explosion when it detonated was deafening. The street shook. People screamed. The air filled with smoke and debris. The pager bomb was just the beginning. Days later, another explosion. This time, the culprit was a walkie-talkie, planted in a crowded market. The blast ripped through stalls, sending shoppers diving for cover. The message was clear: nowhere was safe. The twin attacks sent shockwaves through Lebanon. People were bewildered, terrified. The streets of Beirut, once bustling with life, were now scenes of chaos and confusion. Families were torn apart, and the sense of security that once enveloped the city was shattered in an instant. How could something as commonplace as a pager or a walkie-talkie be turned into a weapon of mass destruction? These everyday devices, symbols of communication and connection, had been twisted into tools of terror, leaving everyone questioning their safety. The answer lay in the hands of those responsible for the attacks. Investigators worked tirelessly, piecing together clues, trying to understand the methods and motives behind such a heinous act. Their motives remained shrouded in mystery. Who were these shadowy figures? What drove them to commit such atrocities? The questions lingered, haunting the minds of the people. But their message was clear. They could strike anytime, anywhere, using anything. The sense of unpredictability added to the fear, making everyday activities feel like potential threats. The explosions were not just attacks on physical spaces, they were attacks on the very fabric of Lebanese society. The destruction left behind was a stark reminder of the fragility of peace and the ever-present threat of violence. They were attacks on trust, on community, on the belief that everyday life could go on. The echoes of the blast resonated deeply, leaving scars that would take years to heal, if ever. Section 4. Living in fear. In the heart of Beirut, a city once known for its vibrant culture and bustling streets, an overwhelming sense of fear has taken hold. The fear in Beirut was palpable. It was in the air, in the hurried steps of pedestrians, and in the anxious glances exchanged on crowded streets. People were afraid to touch anything. The simple act of reaching out to touch a door handle or a piece of fruit at the market had become a moment of hesitation and dread. A ringing phone could send shivers down their spines. The once familiar sound now carried with it the weight of uncertainty and fear. A discarded radio on the street could spark panic. Every abandoned object was a potential threat, a reminder of the dangers lurking in the shadows. "I used to love getting calls from my grandchildren," said Fatima, a grandmother living in Beirut. "Those calls were a source of joy and connection. Now, every time the phone rings, my heart skips a beat. I'm afraid to answer." The fear of bad news has overshadowed the joy of hearing their voices. Fatima's story was not unique. Many elderly people in Beirut shared similar experiences, their lives marked by the same pervasive fear. It was a story repeated countless times across Beirut. In community meetings and casual conversations, the theme of fear was ever present. The fear had become a constant companion, a shadow that followed people wherever they went. It was an inescapable part of daily life, shaping every interaction and decision. Section 5. Trust no device. The attacks had a profound impact on daily life in Lebanon. People were suspicious of everything. They avoided crowded places. They scrutinized everyday objects with a newfound sense of dread. The once mundane act of answering a phone call had become an exercise in courage. "I used to love going to the market," said Samir, a shopkeeper in Beirut. "Now I look at every customer with suspicion. Every bag, every package, I wonder if it's a bomb. Section 6. A nation on edge. As the sun sets on Beirut, the city holds its breath, a collective pause that speaks volumes. The fear lingers, a suffocating blanket over the once vibrant streets, now eerily quiet and filled with an unspoken dread. The explosions may have stopped for now, but the echoes of their devastation still resonate through the city. The scars they left run deep, etched into the very fabric of Beirut. The pager, the walkie-talkie. These are no longer just tools of communication. They are reminders that in Lebanon, even the most ordinary objects can become instruments of terror. And until the perpetrators are brought to justice, the fear will remain, a shadow over the city. The fear of the unknown, the fear of what might come next, the fear of the next explosion, the next moment of chaos. Yet the people of Lebanon are resilient, their spirit unbroken. They have faced countless challenges in their history, from wars to economic crises. But the terror they now face is different, more insidious. It is a terror that strikes at the heart of their daily lives, a terror that has turned everyday objects into potential weapons, making the familiar seem dangerous. The question is, how do you fight an enemy that can hide in plain sight? How do you reclaim normalcy in a world turned upside down?